Good evening, everyone. If you're learning Chinese, listen up because this applies to you. So, many people who are learning a second language often travel to a country that speaks that language to apply it and immerse themselves. Does immersion work? That really depends on you. During my time in China, I've had conversations with other foreigners that have been in the country for 5, 6, 7 years, and they don't consider themselves not even the closest bit to fluent. Especially in the big cities, because Beijing, Hangzhou, you really don't need Chinese in order to survive, especially if you're, say, an English teacher, perhaps. So, no, if you go to China, the Chinese language won't magically come to you and absorb to you like a sponge. However, I will extend an olive branch. It is the best place to learn the language because, like I said, you are totally surrounded by all the characters, everybody's speaking Mandarin. It's perfect. But like I said, that's all up to you. Second thing, if you're using Duolingo to learn Chinese, I'm not stopping you. It is a great website, a great app. However, I will just say that it can only take you so far. Don't take me wrong, it is a fantastic way to get yourself acquainted to the language, get used to what it looks like, what it sounds like. But if you were to go to China and you want to order a coffee, it won't be, let's be real, it won't be like Duolingo where they hold 10 note cards with the characters that some of which are correct, some of which are incorrect in order for you to say the correct phrase. It doesn't work like that in the real world. Duolingo, fantastic way to get yourself introduced to Chinese, but do find other ways, other supplements to get yourself even further and further immersed in the language. Such as number 3, find yourself a teacher, a mentor, a tutor who is a native Mandarin Chinese speaker. Hell, you could even put an ad on, say, Craigslist or somewhere to look for a Chinese speaker, charge them $20, $25, $30 an hour, and just have a conversation at your level of Chinese. It is the best way to gain confidence in the language. I've been doing it here for people that want to learn Spanish, and I've gotten great feedback. I'm sure it's the same. Well, the learning curves are different between the two languages, of course, but I'm sure you'll also get the same amount of confidence once you start speaking it more frequently with someone who actually knows and speaks the language. Number 4, examine your strengths and know which ones to improve upon. In Chinese, you gotta know how to read characters, how to write the characters, how to speak the language, of course, and how to listen. In my case, I am best at reading and figuring out the meaning of characters. If not, I could just context clues the rest. Then speaking, I could oftentimes get my point across okay. Then writing the characters, which is not the same as just recognizing them as well. And last is listening. I suck at listening. All this really depends on what type of learner you are. Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? Number 5, when I went to Beijing, one of my teammates also went through practically all of WPI's Chinese courses. So he also knew the language quite well, but he didn't necessarily have the confidence to speak it to the locals. And I totally get it. We as humans are afraid to fuck up, and that's okay. However, I will say, in order to gain fluency in any language, you must get rid of the 5,000 awkward, stupid, silly, embarrassing conversations that are inside you. And that's how you learn. Number 6, you can learn all the characters in the world. In China. You can learn all the characters you want, but they mean absolutely nothing. They don't mean jack shit if you don't master your grammar first. Because, like, think about it. It's like you're building a house. You have all these lovely bricks, but you have no floor plans. How are you going to build the house if you don't know how to build it? How are you going to build your sentences if you don't know how to build them correctly? Luckily, though, Chinese grammar is pretty straightforward. It's far less complicated than English, even more so than Spanish. Oof. So let's focus first on the grammar, then focus on the words. Number 7. I think that the best way to learn characters and learn words as a result is to know how to say things that are of relevant interest to you. At first I started figuring out the names of countries. Because they have a sound that sounds very similar to that in English, you could associate that quite well. And right now I'm starting to look into Wikipedia articles, Chinese Wikipedia articles of birds. And that brings me on to my next point. Don't be afraid of getting out of your comfort zone. I believe I'm quoting Steve Kaufman from YouTube. He's a polyglot. That one of the biggest mistakes in language learning is staying at the beginner's level, being afraid to let go of the beginner's textbook or whatever it is that you're studying. Yeah, read books, challenging books, even if it's hell. I am struggling trying to read The Little Prince in Chinese, classic children's book. I have to look up what the characters mean half the time. But it's fun. It is fun to be pushed that way. Number 9, invest in a good Chinese to English dictionary. If you want to go digital, I suggest Pleco. There's a big debate as to how it's actually pronounced. Pleco. Pleco. It is a fantastic app. That has all these bions that are I cannot recommend this app enough if you are learning Chinese and you're going to China. It's helped me out so much. It's the reason I have made it on my own alive. And last but not least, no 0 days. Even if you learn one new character, how to say one new word, a new grammar structure, every day, at the end of 1 year, you will have learned 365 new things. And write them down somewhere. Don't just ignore it. Because, let's be real, we forget shit. Even in our native languages, we forget words, we forget how to say things. But if you write them down in a notebook, along with the date in which you've learned them, that will solidify and keep the habit. No 0 days. No 0 days, goddammit. Well, there you go. 10 of my pro tips on language learning Chinese. If you are on this journey with me of learning the language on your accord, I wish that you have as much fun, if not more, than I do on learning the language. It's just so interesting. Just how they write, how they speak. And I want to get in on that. China's right now skyrocketing. And I think it's to our best benefit. Just the way how many foreigners are struggling their ass off to study English. In the future, it may be us who will be struggling our asses off to learn Chinese. Well, 祝你晚安，保重，再见。